The story of Daniel Hedges is quite serious. An academic accused of spying for MI6 is sentenced to jail in November 2018 after being arrested in Dubai airport on May the 5th as he was trying to leave the United Arab Emirates. He was eventually released later in November under a presidential pardon. He's consistently maintained that he was tortured. He was subjected to cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment while in detention. And there was a dossier which circulated. It was originally submitted to the United Nations Committee Against Torture last year, I think in June. And in the 19-page document, the UAE officials claimed that he was treated at all times with respect and dignity, that he was never subjected to any instance of torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. But it includes images taken by CCTV of Mr. Hedges in his prison cell, meeting his doctor, making a phone call. The dossier even includes an image of him with his wife, Daniela Tajeda, in July 2018, during the one visit that he was allowed. So this dossier alone caused him deep distress. He had a panic attack when he saw the CCTV images, as it was the first time he'd seen pictures from this period. Now, the whole problem is that the UAE is supposed to be a UK ally, and he appealed for help from the Foreign Office, and today the Foreign Office has been told to make a formal apology to Mr. Hedges because of its inadequacy. The parliamentary ombudsman's ruling now is that the Foreign Office failed to protect him, and that the Foreign Office has said rather lamely that it's going to review the ombudsman's findings, and the ombudsman has said in return that the Foreign Office has missed signs of potential torture. Well, all of this is fairly straightforward, and what we've got is evidence after evidence after evidence of government foul-up. Now, we know the Foreign Office has been led by idiots for a while, one in particular, Dominic Raab, sunning himself on the beach in Crete rather than actually doing his job. Why are we surprised that ordinary people like Matthew Hedges should be forced to suffer because of the stupidity, the inanity of people like Dominic Raab, Boris Johnson? What has happened to our sense of responsibility? In the past, if anything like this had happened, the minister in charge would be resigning. Now they cling on because they're desperate for some sort of payment, because they've got nothing better to do, because they don't want to take responsibility. What is it? It's an absurd situation, and we need to change it with speed. The whole thing here was about the United Arab Emirates, who found material on Matthew Hedges' laptop, which they said proved that he was a spy, and he was therefore sentenced to life imprisonment. The Foreign Office failed to protect him. They paid him £1,500 compensation. It's a paltry sum, he said. The most crucial thing for my recovery is a formal apology from the Foreign Office, and for them to acknowledge and to implement changes so that other people who are currently or have been in similar situations don't have to endure this. The chief executive of the Ombudsman's office, Rebecca Hilsenrath, said this was a nightmare, and was made even worse by being failed by the British government. He trusted them to help him, and they've let him down. Almost any Afghan supporter of the UK could have said the same thing during Dominic Raab's failed appearance when Kabul fell. Almost any Afghan could say that. And there are many people in Iran who could say the same thing. We have a series of ministers who are inept and who are causing a major problem, not only in the Foreign Office, but in the Home Office as well. And these are the two pillars on which our government stands. And I'm appalled daily at the inadequacy of leadership in both of these important ministries. And the Prime Minister's office, of course, is just really a supervisory one, and it's what's happening in the Foreign Office and the Home Office which is important, and increasingly, I think what's happening in culture, in digital culture, media, and sport, dismissed by government as not being terribly important, but it is so central. So much of our debate is about that as well. So those three offices of state have been failing for a good 10 years.